Welcome to It's Margaretly. Hey, babe. How are you? I am contemplating a piece of advice that was given to me from the card Tangibles from the board game Better Me. It says, having a pen and paper by your bed is a useful habit. If you think of something you need to do or have an idea while lying in bed, you can write it down and relax, knowing you won't forget. I've heard this before. This is one of the pieces of advice that I received when I first realized that I had anxiety. One thing about anxiety is it's all about problem solving, because you feel like there's a problem and you're wrecking your brain on how to solve it. But in the midst of wrecking your brain on how to solve it, you are also playing devil's advocate. What if? And then it can get into a whole downward spiral where you are just for hours going back and forth with fear and solution, which could then turn into a huge panic attack, which for me manifested in a lot of body aches and muscle tension. My chest would hurt to the point where I thought I was having a heart attack, and my neck muscles would constrict, and not the whole neck, just like one part of my neck muscles would constrict. So I would have full usage of the other half of my neck and shoulder, but one half would just be too tight and too painful to move that I couldn't do anything. And I was over medicating myself on asthma medication, because I was born with asthma, so I've always been living with asthma. However, when I started experiencing anxiety, which I didn't know was anxiety at the time, I thought that I was having the worst asthma attacks ever, and I would take the machine and I would take the emergency pump, and I felt like it wasn't really working. So then I ended up taking all these meds. Oh my gosh, all of these types of meds, because the doctors just didn't know what was wrong with me. We would run so many tests, and all the tests would come back negative. Everything was fine, but I literally was not able to work for 6 months because my brain was on overdrive and my body was shutting down. I went to the hospital one day, and we were in the emergency room, and a doctor came up, he spoke to me, and then he said, okay, I'm going to give you something to relax you, and then we're going to do a couple of tests and see what's going on. He gave me something, and I didn't notice anything, right? I was laying in bed, I was talking to my fiance at the time, and I didn't notice any change, but he did. My fiance did, and he looked at the doctor, because at this time I was really relying on my fiance to take care of me. He was the one that was in control of all of my medications, and he was the one that was able to talk to the doctors and understand what in the world was going on better than I could, because I was just all over the place and I didn't understand what was going on. He asked the doctor, what did you give her? Because this is what she needs. This is what she needs in order to be okay. What was it? Tell me more. How can we get her on a regimen? It was anxiety medication. He got my brain to slow down. And so though in my mind I was the same, in the real world I was calm I was not in a rush. I was not trying to do 15,000 things, and I was not predicting doomsday. And after a few years, I was able to identify the signs and understand the difference between Margaret on anxiety, Margaret off anxiety. And so one of the coping mechanisms that they give you for anxiety, because anxiety can really mess with your sleep schedule. You're not able to really sleep when your brain is on overdrive. And so one of the biggest things is that they would tell you, just write it down. Write it down. Write it down. Once you get it out on paper, your brain should be able to calm down and go with the flow, because you wrote it down, so you're going to go back to it, so you don't have to be worried about forgetting it. So that doomsday of, but if I forget, then this is going to happen, and if I don't remember, and if I don't get up and do it right now, then it's not going to work out, and if I do it later, then it's supposed to solve all of that. It didn't work that well with me. I had a journal. I have a journal. It's not even I had a journal. I have a journal that I keep by my bed, and I pull it out whenever I'm in a crisis, because it's my problem solving journal. So it's not my thought journal, it's my problem solving journal. And like I told you, anxiety can be a mixture of worry and problem solving, at least for me. And so that technique didn't really work for me, because I would get into the habit of worry, problem solve, worry, problem solve, worry, problem solve, worry, problem solve. So now, instead of it happening in my brain, it's happening on paper. That was not fun, right? Like, that's not fun. I want to alleviate some of this. I don't want to lean into it. So I think that, having pen and paper next to your bed is a very good habit, because when you do need to just write it out, you can grab your journal and write it out. I do think that there should be some type of limit to it, where you write for 10 to 15 minutes, or should I say I write for 10 to 15 minutes, and then after I write for 10 to 15 minutes, I do a 10 to 15 minute guided meditation. And it's those breathing techniques and the reminder that I am safe, I am okay, and I can handle whatever's coming. I am safe, I am okay, and I can handle whatever's coming. I am safe, I am okay, and I can handle whatever is coming. And the next thing I know, I'm asleep. Or the next thing I know, I'm waking up, should I say. I'm waking up because I was able to write it out, and then I was able to calm it down. Have you ever tried the pen and paper by your bed habit? If you have, how did it work out for you? If you haven't, what do you think about doing it? Join the conversation. Add a comment, send me an email, follow me on Instagram.